Good evening, everybody. This is Tales Off the Hollow Tables, the one show about Star Wars Galaxy of the Heroes that could probably benefit from an intro of sorts. And I refuse to make one or write one, so we're going to just make it up every single time. I am here with Captain Amazing, who is another streamer, content creator, um, you kind of came onto the scene around the same time that I did when it comes to like YouTube and video content, which I think is why I was interested in chatting with you because I've talked with like Sarah and I've talked with Bit Dynasty and they're these big behemoths who have been on the scene for a long time. And you have been here for maybe what, 3 months now?
Uh, December 16th is when I started, so it's been about a month and some change.
So less than a month. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, about the same amount of time as I have, but I think what's interesting is there's a difference in our journey because I had like a text following beforehand. And it's more about pulling those people and saying, hey, I'm also here now. Are you starting from zero?
So the way I started actually was believe it or not, I used Reddit too. I did.
Okay.
I leveraged Reddit because I had it's actually an interesting story. So when I decided, hey, I think I want to do this, was I was helping. I just post on Reddit and help some people. I'm not nowhere near as big as you, but I just wanted to be more involved with the community. And I
Yeah.
noticed that I was just like messaging people and helping them with their accounts and building it. Then I like helped someone. It was like an hour. Like I spent like legit an hour with someone just going over like all the new things that they should do to go from where they are to like or what actually where they are now. And like unlock SLKR, Executor, Assault Battles, and just explaining the game to them. And I decided like, hey, maybe this is something that I really enjoy doing. So the first thing I did was I posted on Reddit just saying, hey, I'm making this, and you responded in a
And
message
I
to me.
saw that, right.
Yeah, yeah. So I just made a post saying, hey, I'm going to start this channel. If you want roster reviews, just go ahead, post your information, and I'll make a YouTube video for you. And that's how I started. And then I also post on, or I stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time.
Okay.
Some Twitch has been incredibly welcoming. Like it's very new stream player friendly. And because I live in Japan, no one streams in my time zone. So I've had some big streamers that just come onto my chat or raid me or so like Aldous, Sandflies, Zareth Prevails, the Wolf, and just like these players that come on and have like hung out with me on my chat, and which is really cool.
No big
Consider
deal, right?
Yeah, just because I'm so new and everything, so it's every time it happens, it's kind of like I get all flustered and everything. It was funny because the first time Zareth Prevails came on there, I was just getting dumpstered in Grand Arena. So I think I got like 200 banners that one. It was the worst. It was,
That's a normal Grand Arena for me
yeah,
because everything's on defense. So 200
yeah,
banners is good. Like I'm like, oh great, I might win this one. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
I mean, I notice obviously your time zone, you live in Japan.
Yep.
And when you told me that you were 14 hours ahead, my brother lives in Korea. So I was like, oh, I was just there. I know that 14
Mhm.
hour time difference as it is. Why are you there? Like what?
I'm military, active duty military. So I'm
Okay.
stationed in Okinawa, Japan. So that's why I'm here. I've lived here for 5 years before. My wife is Japanese, so
Okay.
it took me about 9 years to come back after I left. So I was here for 5 years, left for nine, and then I'm back now. So
So
yeah.
did you met your wife while you were there?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
she's native Okinawan,
Okay.
Japanese, and then yeah, we just met here pretty much right when I got here on island. Just went out, met her, and then started dating, got married. It's
Do
been
you speak Japanese at all? Are you learning? Are you
no,
trying? No,
I know very. I'm not very good with languages. I'm not very good with
I'm not either.
yeah.
So my brother is like a savant, and he met a girl online, and he wanted to just learn Korean.
Uh-huh.
And he met a girl, he moved there, they just got married, I just got back. I've been trying to learn Korean. I just got my 76-day streak on Duolingo.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, I'm like brain dead when it comes to languages. So I memorize maybe words, but I have no idea what's going on. I just found that to be like an interesting parallel between us, where it's you versus somebody in my family. But I kind of noticed that you always stream in the morning, and that what I guess is what got me thinking like, oh, you must live
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's worked out well. It's worked out really well for me, just because there's if I try streaming in like American time zones, like there's the competition is just really fierce. There's tons of people, and no one's, I'm just a no name no name guy.
I
So I think it's the time zone really plays to my strength, I guess. It
okay.
just felt, it was just really lucky for me.
I noticed that I had to take Tuesday off, and I figured, you know what, let me just get a review out of the way. And I went on live for the first time just to see. Like I've never done it before.
Uh-huh.
Let me just test it out. If I fail, who cares? Nobody's here. And people started joining it. And I was like, what the like why? What are you doing? Where are you supposed to be? I assumed I'd be talking to nobody. And then I tried again last night and I had like two or three people. So I definitely noticed the difference. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
maybe I'll stream like Sunday mornings when I'm up really, really early, and I'll take advantage of that same time zone.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I was like, when I told my wife I wanted to do this, so I just ordered like a microphone and a webcam, and then I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and she loves YouTube, so she supported me. So I was like, hey, so the first time I streamed, I expected to just like monologue, because I watched a few
Hmm.
videos of like, hey, what should you do? And they're like, well, turn off viewer counts and just like talk, don't be like a zombie just staring at the screen. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to like monologue for however long I play and just describe what I'm doing. And then I go on, and then people just started joining like out of nowhere. And it
I
was really
mean, keep going, keep going.
yeah, it was really shocking at first. And then I streamed again, and then they came back, and I was like, what? Yeah, like what is going
What am I
on
doing
here?
right, right?
Yeah, like I was like, I don't. And it's just really grown from there, and a really big supporter that got me a lot of just a lot of support is like Aldous Sandflies. Like he like shouted me out, he raids me, and he has super supported my streams. So I don't think I would have had the growth on Twitch without him. And then on YouTube, I just had one video that just like did extremely well. And it was just about mods. So
I
because I
noticed that one too.
yeah.
I was like, how is this guy have this video that's got like thousands of views with only so many followers?
Well,
Um,
so when I published that one, I had like 10, 20 followers or something. And at first I was like, I really don't want the exposure. I need to learn the technical side and everything, and just like lighting and everything that you need to know for YouTube. So I was like, I'm definitely not ready for, because YouTube has to be a much more polished project than like streaming. I could just live
yeah,
stream, and I could not wear pants, and I could just
it doesn't
just
matter.
yeah,
I
like
might
no
not
one
be
no one
right now,
cares.
who knows?
Yeah, no one cares. Like you're just like interacting with people, and it's that human connection that's important. But YouTube, everyone wants this super polished, like perfect video, or just like an excellent idea that is, interesting to them.
I've got to say, I don't do Twitch. I'm not. I grew up like my older brother. My brother's 10 years older than me, and we didn't have bedroom doors. We would hang like a sheet in front of our doors, and
Yeah.
I'd hear him on his PC playing like the old school Tomb Raider, and I'd like knock on his bedroom door, and I'd be like, "Hey, can I come in and watch?" And I'd sit and I'd watch him play like StarCraft, Tomb Raider for hours and hours and hours and hours. And so I'm like the prime candidate for Twitch and streaming and watching, and but I never got into it. It was never something that I was interested in. Um, so it might be something I need to look into rather, just because I think our approach obviously to YouTube maybe is a little bit different, where you're
Mhm.
trying to have that polished product that I agree with you. I see every other person on YouTube doing that, and they have like these amazing cards, and they do all these crazy things. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna film a video, and if people watch it, they watch it. And if they don't watch it, then I don't care. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, I
I've
think,
gotten similar support, so do it. You don't
yeah.
always need that.
Well, I think because the biggest thing why, because you talk about return on investment. So the biggest reason I started making YouTube videos was I was doing account reviews on Twitch, and I
Mhm.
noticed that I talked to the same people about the same things over and over and over, and I can't just like stop and explain something for 20 minutes to every single person that has a similar situation. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a video and then I'm going to link it to them. I'm like, okay, I noticed this problem. Here's a video. So a lot of my videos, if you notice, they're very short, concise, and
Mhm.
they're for something. And a lot of it is because I make it because I see it over and over. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to make this video and I'm going to just link it to them. And that's what I use my videos for. And the reason I made that video was because I'm not like a mod guy. I'm not, well,
Yeah.
now I guess I am. I've just been like shoehorned into it. But before I didn't use mod filters. I understand them. I understand I took statistics because I'm a psychology major and I understand the math behind it. But it's not crazy math, and it's pretty simple. But a lot of times when I tell these people like, hey, you're working low potential mods or you're forcing primaries that just aren't good mods, they're just like, look, dude, I know I have bad mods. I just don't know what you're talking
What to
about
do.
or what that means. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And before I would push Darth Loquitur's mods guides to people because it's a great series, but it's
Mhm.
6 hours. Like it's legit like 6 hours, and I don't think a lot of people are willing to sit there for 6 hours if I tell them like work on your mods and
And
it's
just
just
go
there.
watch this.
Yeah, so I get it. Like that's the whole like Star Wars Skywalker saga, like
You could go
except for the
watch the
yeah
whole original trilogy, or you could
yeah
watch some some guy talk about modding.
Yeah, and I
I
and I understand like people just aren't willing to do that, or some just aren't that bought into it. So I decided, what is a high potential mod, and can I make a quick little video out there that can describe what it is and how you can get that? And then that's just like what took off. And I think it has to do just with the YouTube algorithm of like people clicked it and then watched it, so it kept pushing it out because I saw you could see like waves of when it was testing the
yes.
video out, and then it just like took off once it found Americans. I guess I don't know, um, but yeah, it just and that's like the start of just how I built some momentum with my channel. Yeah.
I kind of did the same thing on Tuesday. I've been doing account reviews for a very long time, but just in text, right? And I type
Yeah.
it out and I go like pop, 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 pop. I've done hundreds of them. And I think I was inspired by you actually to say, let me just film it and see what happens.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of found I was saying the same things to the same people. So I just did one video on Tuesday about like joining your fleet Discord, right? Because like that,
Yeah, I saw that
you
one.
and
Yeah.
you and me as like veterans, like we know that, but I find that I
Mhm.
have to type out this giant paragraph to people constantly. And I had
Yeah.
the same idea. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna film this 2-minute video and I'm gonna link this to people because I'm tired of typing out the same old shit every single day when I talk to people. And I guess I'm surprised that like what I think is entertainment versus what other people think is entertainment is very different because I'm like, why would anyone watch me or you or anyone um look at an account and just like be like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
But people do. People like it. They want that interaction and they want to kind of learn through that almost. So it's been surprising to do that and be like, oh wow, like I guess I need to film more of these.
Yeah, I saw you use swgoh.gg, which I
Yeah.
understand is a much better tool for evaluating an account. But it's just so weird to me to like go through because I'm so used to the in-game interface and looking at
Hmm.
everything. So I was like, I know people do it because they're always like, hey, link your swgoh.gg, and then and I'm like, yeah, I'll link it, I'll look at it, but I don't like manipulating it the same way that you do to do an account review. And I understand it's like it's a much better tool than in game, but seeing you do an account review with that tool was like really weird to me, just because like the normal way like everyone does account reviews is just in game.
So I think where I am, um, I feel like I joke with the people that I work with because in my classroom, I'm the oldest person in the classroom. I work with two ladies. One is 28, the other is 22. I'm turning 37, and I feel like the old man in the room. And I kind of joke that I'm not down with technology anymore. So like in order to manipulate the game, I'm assuming, and maybe we'll talk more about this later. I'm sure I'm going to bore
Yeah,
somebody, but I'm like, oh, I got to download like BlueStacks and I have to do this, and then I have to like go through this thing to do it that way. Whereas I'm like, oh, I can just hit share screen and I can manipulate the internet the way that I'm used to manipulating the internet. And that's
yeah,
just always how I've done it. So I don't know any other way.
yeah,
Uh, but that's what makes things cool, I guess, right? Like you and I do very similar things, but in very different ways. And I think you focus on something very different because when I gave you my account to review and I said, hey, look, I don't need help, but if you're doing this for entertainment, feel free to use my account. You
yeah.
completely shit on the fact that my GAC roster is awful, and that I don't have a Relic 9 Jedi Master Luke. And you focus on
Yeah.
those things, whereas I
Uh-huh.
focus on like the ROI and the assault
Uh-huh.
battles and setting up an account.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I found that I naturally gravitate towards mods because that's honestly where most people have problems. And I think a lot of people get account reviews from different content creators. And
Yeah,
I noticed that a lot of them just focus on like, hey, what should your next farming path be?
yeah.
And I noticed like I do go over that too because it's important. But I noticed just a lot of problems people have are usually ships, mods, and then some other things like why have you been playing the game for 4 years and you have like 5 million GP or something? And then I have to find like, okay, what's actually wrong? It's not like, are you just casual? Is it your guild? And I try to like dive deep into whatever it is. Because when you gave me your account, actually, I was like a little, I was like, oh, I don't know, because you were just like, hey, do whatever what you want with it, just make it entertaining or whatever. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that last line was like, oh, I don't know if I can make entertaining content yet. So,
What?
so I kind of sat on your account for a while, just thinking about what I wanted to do with it. And then I know you do, and then you have your videos and everything, and TB. So I kind of took it towards that way, and then looking just at your Marin and shitting that you didn't have all 6 dot mods on her, even though she's your
Well,
greatest love.
you inspired me.
Yeah.
I did. I spent the next week just
Uh-huh.
farming potency mods, so that I could find a good arrow to bring to 6A. I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, that's
Like,
good. That's
that's the
that's what
one
I
thing.
Yeah, that's what I like to say. I shame people into improving their accounts. So a lot of people come back and they're like, "Hey, dude, you shamed me on this, so I actually like went out and fixed it." So
I found
yeah,
myself, I don't remember if I did this or not, but like I'll pop into your stream sometimes. I try not to talk and because
uh-huh.
you know it's like that like the Z-list celebrity thing where I don't want to take the
Yeah,
focus off you or vice versa, you know, because we're
uh-huh.
really the same level.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I would
but
say your name is much more like no one knows Captain Amazing. Not
in text they know it, but in
yeah.
YouTube we're very similar
Yeah, we are.
sizes.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what
Uh,
you're saying. Yeah.
so I try not to do anything, but I almost wanted to. Maybe I did. I might have been drunk and I did it, but I wanted to pop in and be like, I got it. Look, I got a 6A mod. And
Yeah.
I hope I refrained or I restrained myself. I don't
Yeah,
remember if I did or
yeah,
not.
you definitely didn't. I would have remembered that. I would have remembered. I definitely would have been like, huh. Yeah, I would have commented on something, but I didn't get that. But I'm glad I was able to shame you into
You
into
got
getting
something.
that.
I had toyed with the idea when I was driving home. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask this guy for one piece of advice, like one character to level up, and I'm gonna do it right now. But I knew for a fact it would be Jedi Master Luke, and I absolutely refuse. Like
Um,
on principle, I refuse.
I don't. I don't want. I wouldn't say JML because I'm sure because you don't care about that.
No, but I
I
also
wish
at the
I
same
wish
time I
you
like
would.
to be contrarian, and I'm like,
Yeah,
no, I'm never gonna do it ever.
yeah, I get it. I wish you would put more investment in your Imperial Troopers. They're just
Imperial
such a fun.
Troopers.
Yeah, they're just such a fun. I think your Dark Trooper was really low gear,
My Dark
if I
Trooper
remember.
is G12.
Yeah, so if I had to, I would say like R5 that Dark Trooper. If I
R5
had
Dark
to,
Trooper.
yeah, because that's such a fun character. I know you don't care too much about it, but Grand Arena and Territory Wars, but that's just like my funnest team. They
Uh,
sometimes they just pull off the most Hail Mary things, and they're great for cleaning up GLs, and they take out Sith Empire without Malgus and Treyas on defense, and you see Treya a lot on defense, so. They're
you
just a
do.
super fun, yeah, just a
I
super
am
fun
listening
team.
to you. I'm also just looking at my phone because I'm R5ing Dark Trooper
Yeah.
right now.
I appreciate
So
shame.
I'm doing that for you.
Yeah.
My one concern was you were gonna be like, oh, it's Jedi Master Luke, and I was like, oh no, right? So
No, no.
right there,
All right,
there he is. He's
I
R5
appreciate.
now.
All right, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You won't regret it. He's a great character. I know for like TV, they don't stand a chance. They just they're just way
No,
too slow and they don't have the sustainability. So I understand why. I think I use Piet with Empire or something sometimes, just on just as a fifth or whatever. But
that's I use him as a fifth, as a garbage
yeah,
LV team, and I just throw him
yeah,
in because you don't a lot of those like neutral battles, you don't need a full team.
yeah,
Kessel, I think is Kessel player the fourth planet, whatever it is. Like I did it with a four-man Night Sister team because that's the one planet that you can go undermanned on for whatever reason because CG fucked it up. Um, they're not hard battles. You just need bodies in there with your Galactic Legend.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna be 100% with you. I don't remember any of these names. I'm
That's
just
fine.
like first light side, dark side, first, second, third, fourth, whatever. Um, but TV is probably my least favorite content,
Yep.
just because I don't have the relic levels to
For
really
it.
engage in it as much as I want. And yeah, I could probably do like 5 or 6 battles a phase or something, and then the ships, but that's it. So
I
I'm
grew
nowhere
up
near.
I grew up in the age of like MMOs, right? So like
Yeah.
massive multiplayer games. I played Star Wars Galaxies, I played World of Warcraft, I played them all, and I always played on PvP servers.
Yep.
So I was always like a big PvP person. And for anyone who is listening who maybe played in those days on Star Wars Galaxies, one, Tarkinus was the best server. Two, I have not found a single game that has a crafting system that is anywhere near as robust as the Star Wars Galaxies crafting system. But three, we used to have like city on city raids, and you'd have 100 people coming in with ATSTs, like raiding Theed and Naboo and completely throwing shit and destroying the whole town. So I grew up on PvP. I just find like with load screens and like going in and out and with time and having to like check counters with datacrons and not remembering things, I'm like, it's just too much time. Something has to give.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you because I have my through my guild I have the insights,
Mhm.
but I very rarely use it, even though it probably would benefit me. Generally, I just
Is
kind
that a
of know
hotbot
what
thing?
I'm.
Because I have hotbot through the guild. I just haven't explored it fully.
So one person purchased it and then linked the. So if we're linked in SW GOH.GG through our guild, then he purchased a plan that just like gave it to
Oh,
everyone.
it's like a
So
guild plan
anyone,
through them.
yeah. So
Mm.
anyone who's like linked to the guild, like link their accounts linked to SWGOH, and then from there my account's linked to the guild, and then I have it through that guild link.
Okay. So it's the same as hot utils. Like it's
Yeah.
this, it's the same. They
Hmm.
have like the guild chilies or whatever, and that's how I have mine. I don't pay for it,
Yeah.
but I would not be handling territory battles if I didn't have it because it saves me so much time. You know, it's a beautiful tool, and I've posted over the years so many times uh all of these features, right? The features that you're using that save you time, the features that I'm using are save me time are like these quality of life features that should be in the game. Like we shouldn't have to pay $10 a month, $15 a month. And I'll happily do it to support great development teams.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't have to do it for a
Yeah.
game we love.
Well, I think if we just had a sandbox mode, then we wouldn't need the statistics of what actually works and what doesn't, because just you get 3 attacks a week with this character or this team, and then you don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So just having the insights of what is going on. But if we had a sandbox mode, we could just like flesh it out ourselves
It'll never
and see.
happen.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's there's no return of investment for them. So I
I
totally
will
understand it.
I will relic 9, relic 10, relic 11, whatever the next relic level after is, my Jedi Master Luke, the day
Uh-huh.
that that comes to the game.
Yeah.
I will make a video. I will tag you. I'll be like, hey, guess what? It's here. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I know they won't, because there's no cycle to that content that leads to building more relics or whatever it is that they're trying to make us do. So
Well, it's the
it's just
frustration cycle. You know, if you only
yeah,
get so many battles and you don't get to flesh it out, you get frustrated. And then you say, hey, maybe it's my relic levels. Maybe it's my modding. Maybe it's my this. And then you end up increasing things specifically because you don't want to deal with that next time. And it's, I mean, it's a smart play for a game like this.
it is. It is. I don't. I'm not super upset about it or anything. I'm just saying that that tool
It
is
would be
what
useful.
replaces that. Yeah, it would be super great, because that's what led me to Reddit and to streaming, is just because for me, I love it's always like a balance, right? And that's why I love this game. Is if I'm crazy busy, then I just log in for like 5 minutes here or there, and then if I have a lot of time, I can like really delve deep, do the planning, plan everything out, and then be involved in the communities. And then that's what I love about this game, is that complexity and that ability to plan. And that's what I don't know. That's just what, because I love like building things, just like
Yeah.
continue as I progress and see just development. That's what I like to do, is like, those hits of dopamine as I look and see my development. So I just at times I find like, oh, I wish there's more in this game, and there's no way I'm creating an alt and replaying like just thinking about like farming all those ships or
Oh,
doing
yeah.
conquests with you. I don't know how some people do it, but I want more, but not the new player experience, because that's a horrible experience.
You know, I've been sitting on this idea for a while, and if you want it and you want to do an alt for this, and I know you don't, you're welcome to this idea because I'm the
Yeah.
same way. I'm like, I don't want to spend the time. And I was talking to someone about it on Reddit a few days ago, so maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. But the idea of creating an account that only had exactly what you needed for journeys and galactic
Uh-huh.
legends and the ships.
Yeah.
So nothing else. Like
Hmm.
you couldn't get anything extra. And to me, the funny part of it would be being in Iridium or being in Kyber and matching with somebody and them looking at your account and being like, what the fuck is this? Why are you a 4 million account and you have 8 GLs
Yeah.
and 2 GL ships? To me, that's hilarious. And if I had the time and if I were 18 again and I wasn't working constantly, it's something I would do. So if
Yeah,
anyone's
absolutely.
listening, do it. I would love to see it. I'll support it. I'll shout it out. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just, it tickles me.
Yeah, I have seen some super hyper focused alt accounts. Usually, those players that have, 11, 12, 13 million GP, and they have like this 4 or 5 million GP alt that's just like ridiculously stacked. And I'm just like, wow, in the old matchmaking system, you would absolutely just be
Just
slaying.
destroy. You'd be
Yeah,
destroying
yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
You know, but I think what happens with a lot of those accounts, and you look at like Arnold and his free to play account, and he's an entertainer. I don't consider myself an entertainer. I know some people are entertained by the things that I do. I consider myself an educator. But he has this free to play account, and they just hit Kyber. I think I got a message about it because
Yeah.
I don't really watch his stuff, but I'm on his Discord for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and you look at this guy, and you're like, yeah, that's great that at whatever GP he did that at, but you were probably in a guild that's way above what a reasonable, normal person would be able to be in, at that level. And you have this knowledge that other people don't have. It makes it a lot easier to be super, super hyper
So
involved.
I would say for because I do watch his content. I watched his content when I didn't play the game. That's probably the biggest reason why I came back because I
That's
played in
crazy.
2018. Yeah, stopped playing for once SLKR came out, and then I came back like mid 2022. But that entire time, I continued watching his content because there was like things that I didn't like about the game, and that's why I quit. But I love Star Wars, and then as an entertainer, he's just super entertaining. So I continued watching his content, but for that account, he specifically didn't use like his fame or whatever. He just joined a random account, and then once he had SOKR, he went into another guild that has like
So after,
pretty much SOKR. So he did keep it like
okay.
super free to play, like actual new player experience. Except, yeah, you can't take away his knowledge of how he's,
No, but that's good to
building the
hear
account.
because
Yeah.
as someone who doesn't watch him, I only watch when I know that he's going to reference me, and
Uh
that's
huh.
not like a narcissism thing. It's just like
No,
let me
I
just
get
make sure
it.
he's quoting me right.
Yeah.
So it is good to hear that, like when you're trying to promote this thing. And I've been trying to call him an entertainer recently because I had a conversation with him like a year ago, and he was like, I really hate being called an influencer. And I
Oh,
get that
really?
because I hate the
Mm-hmm.
term influencer.
Yeah.
But he is, that's what he is. He's an entertainer and he's a content creator and he's here to entertain it. And there isn't, I give him a lot of shit. I give him a lot of problems on Reddit and I roll my eyes at things like Lord Failure, but he's an entertainer and there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
different than what I do. It's different than what you do. And you can kind of be in between. But it's just a different aspect of it. And it is like I've sat and watched 10 extra minutes after he's looked at my Reddit thread and been like, oh, this is kind of fun. I just don't have 4 hours to sit here and watch everything that he does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. I would say this, because I used to absorb like every like content I could on Star Wars, like YouTube. I would just watch it in the background. And then once I started doing YouTube, now all my time is like learning the technical aspects, learning, everything that I can about this new thing that I'm doing. And it's a lot
Yeah,
less Star Wars Galaxy of Hero things and a lot more, just trying to learn, trying practical application, trying to just like learn this new trade that I'm doing. So, but it's just like a passion project for me. So I don't know where it's gonna go,
yeah,
but I do think that I wouldn't say I'm an entertainer, but I like to connect with my viewers, and I do have a background where I recruited for the military.
okay,
I don't mind sitting in front of people or talking or engaging, because I went out and I and you're an educator, so maybe you've done this, but like you go out in front of a stadium and there's thousands of people there, and you have to like go out and do this public speaking or in front of classes, and you're meeting with parents and you're talking to young kids and everything. So all that I think is a skill set that like kind of works great on YouTube as well, as long as you can like connect through with your viewers and everything like that. So I think people come because they have no other choice
yeah,
of my content, because I just have this super unique time zone. But I think people stay because they genuinely just like the connection and the
yeah,
community I'm building. So, and that's what I would say is a little different with me, is I guess it's just my interaction with my viewers. But I'm not anyone special. I don't have an excellent account. I have 3 GLs and 2 GL ships, and I'm
oh
only
man.
in Kyber. I'm only in Kyber 4.
But
Yeah,
for
I know.
three GLs, I
Yeah,
mean, that
yeah,
that
I did
that's
it.
impressive.
Yeah, because I made it to I made it to my GP rating or my skill rating was in Kyber 2. And I did that with with SOKR and Ray, and then Leviathan and Executor. And I tell you, I got absolutely dumpstered in Kyber 2 and 3. Like absolutely wasn't even close. I'm playing like accounts like yours. They have all the GLs, all the GL
Yeah,
ships. And now actually now that I have Java, I can actually compete with them because I just got like I was able to off meta everything except for JMK or layers and fives. But now that I have Java, I have
you're
that
able to do
ability.
that.
Yeah. So now I'm actually winning in Kyber. But until I had Java, it was a rough experiment.
Now, I guess my next question, and this just because I was talking to someone about this on the event server yesterday, and it's kind of something
Uh-huh.
I've realized about myself over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
So I used to think I was an introvert.
Okay.
Because for the longest time until I actually went recruiting. I was 25 years old when I started recruiting. And especially and I was actually a very good recruiter for the military, and it's a very difficult job. Like going out and being like, "Hey, how would you like to uproot
Hmm.
your entire life and go serve the military?" You know, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell for some
Yeah.
people. um, and it wasn't until and I used to think that because I would play video games all the time and I would stay home and I didn't like partying. I didn't like going out. I just had my close friends and whoever I was, dating at the time or whatever. But I never was that type that like I'm gonna go out and be the star of the room or anything. And it wasn't until I realized that I am extroverted. It's just I
Hmm.
was getting that through online communities because I'd play video games and I had friends and I had online communities. And that's the aspect that I loved about gaming, other than, of course, like the gaming aspect of it. But I realized that, hey, and especially once COVID ran around and I was like stuck in my house for a few years, that I realized like, hey, I need to go out. I need the social aspect. I need some roaming around space. I gotta
Yeah.
stretch my legs, talk to people. And now that I realize that about myself, it's sort of like I've blossomed, as like yeah. So, but I felt like originally, if you would have asked me in my teens or young 20s, I would have been like, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like talking with people. I don't like going out. But now that I've went out and lived some life, I realize that, yeah, I'm actually an extrovert.
It's see, I feel like our answers are similar, but also very different because I feel like I'm almost like not the exact opposite, but I definitely like I still tell people, hey, I'm an introvert. And I say, hey, I hate people.
Yeah.
Right. But I've kind of come to accept that I really love chatting with people. I love interacting with people. Like I like doing things like this and finding out about people and different cultures and going to different places. But I'm also like super drained by it. Right.
Yeah.
So like I'll get home
Yeah.
after a day of work and be like, oh, screw it. I can't talk. Like I just nobody just leave me alone. Or after we're done and I go out later, I'm gonna be like, nope, we're just gonna sit and watch TV and we're gonna just not talk to each other and we're gonna eat pizza and it's gonna be fine and it's gonna be great. Um, and it's the idea that I love this interaction, but then at the end of it, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I feel drained at work, but that's because it's just
It's
my
work.
work is a yeah, my work's a very drain. It's a very demanding job. It's a very demanding job. Um, but I like because at the end of the day, because when I was doing full-time work and full-time college, and I was coming home and doing school and doing it on the weekends, I would hate doing it at nights because I felt so drained. But when I stream at night, it rejuvenates me. Like I'm excited, I'm energized, and I'm ready to go. But
Yeah.
if it's like something I don't want to do, I do feel like, oh, this is the worst, and
Like
I'm
going to
super
the
tired.
in-laws, right?
Yeah,
Like that's always the
yeah,
most fun.
yeah,
Um, Now I guess, and you don't have to answer this one. I guess I'm curious because after
yeah.
I
No,
found
no
out you were in
problem.
you were in the military, I have a lot
Uh-huh.
of friends that are in the military, and I'm in group chats with friends that are in the military.
Yep.
I find it funny because every Veterans Day they text me and they go, "Don't you fucking dare say thank you for your service. Like I'm done with that shit. I don't want to hear it."
Uh-huh.
Do you have like, do you care? Are you like, oh, like I appreciate that? Or are you like, I don't like cut your bullshit? Like, do you have a thought on that?
So I've been serving for 16 and a half years.
Okay.
So yeah, I know I look
You very, very
I
young.
yeah, I moisturize my skin. But it's have you ever seen the Matt Damon thing where he turns into like an old man? So
Yes.
that's what happens to me when I throw on my uniform. I just like I phase into an old man, and then I take it off, and I become young again. Because in the Marines, I'm ancient.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very
The
old
old
man in
guy.
the Marines. Yeah. So like people don't want to talk to me. They don't want they're like, do you have someone else I can talk to?
It's
I'm
the
like,
t-shirt. That's what does it
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
And the
So
filters I'm using. It's very
yeah.
expensive filters that I have so that Zoom looks like nice and we both look great.
Yeah, but we're about the same age. I'm 34, so
Okay.
um but I don't when I was younger, and I've always just said like, oh, thanks for your support, or I'll just say
Hmm.
thank you. Because like the US is very supportive of the military, and
Hmm.
I know it hasn't always been that way if you look back at like other wars. So I am a like an Afghan veteran and everything. I've served with the Royal Air Force, and I've seen other cultures, and generally, and in Japan they have a self defense force, and that's why we're
Hmm.
here is because we're after World War II we
You're not
dismantled
allowed to
their
have one, I think, right?
they changed their everything, their rules and their laws so that they can't have and they can't do certain things with us because of it. But essentially, I don't I just look at it as like, oh, thank you. I don't comment on it. I don't ask for
Okay.
it. Honestly, at this point, I'm institutionalized. I've lived almost half my life
In the
in the
military.
military. Yeah, so it's just it's more than a job. It is a lifestyle and everything. But I'm just conformed to it all, and I don't want it. But I'm not gonna like disrespect the the people's image of it, and just because I'm really close with my family and my friends,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna like lessen what other people have done or accomplished by that. So I just like, hey, yeah, like cool,
Cool,
thanks.
thanks, and
Yeah,
like shrug it
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Okay.
Not
Yeah, and don't
not a
get me
big
wrong.
deal.
My friends and I, we're close enough where he feels comfortable telling me like, don't, like, I don't want to hear it. And
But
I
yeah.
guess I was curious because I don't, outside of my really close friends,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna go up to somebody on the street and be like, hey, do you want me to thank you or do you not want me to? So I wanted to get like an outside perspective on that.
I would say like I appreciate it. I appreciate it because
Yeah.
I recruited in New Jersey, North Jersey, and
Okay,
I got I
where in North Jersey?
Bergen County.
Okay, so I grew up close to Bergen County.
Yeah, so I recruited. Yeah, I recruited in yeah, like, it's not because when I joined the military, and it was a different time, right? It was 16 years ago, and we were in two wars, and
Yeah.
it was like closer to 9/11 and everything. So everyone was just like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, we're so proud of you." But when I was a recruiter, every single parent was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And then they're like, "Do you want to die? Like, what is wrong
Yeah.
with you?" And like every single one. And I was like, what is up with these people? I was like, this guy's signing up to be like a supply clerk, like he's
This
gonna go be an engineer or something. He's gonna go work on aircraft, and they're just like, because I work in aviation, so I control aircraft, and not really anymore, just because I've I'm so old that I now I just like manage people, but
mhm.
like that's like the trade is just like Top Gun when they're doing those air to air fights. That's I control those air to air fights. So and that's just what I did, and I always told my mom, like, she's like, are you safe, are you fine? I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just I'm just controlling aircraft, just sitting on
I'm
base.
down. Isn't it crazy that we're considered old,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
like I'm in my 30s. Like
Yeah.
this is awful. Um, my wife just turned 30 and she's like, oh, I'm so old. I'm like, what does that make me?
Yeah,
Like
well, do you
that's awful.
have you heard of the term city miles for cars?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I was like, yeah, I was because people are like, you're young, and I was like, yeah, but I got some city miles on me. I
I'm gonna
got them
start
city
using
miles.
that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start using that at
yeah,
school. When people make fun of me, like, no, they're city miles. It's fine. It's
yeah,
Manhattan miles. It's good.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Manhattan miles is probably worse because of it being
Oh
a little
yeah,
traffic.
yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So we got like from streaming to like more heavy, and I didn't intend to get heavy, but that's just what happens
That's
sometimes. Talk to
yeah,
me
it's
about
fine.
like gaming outside of this. Like outside of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, are you gaming now? Do you actively do other because I generally don't have the time to as much as I wish.
So I used to be like I've been gaming since I was like 4 years old, and I've like almost ruined my life playing Halo 2 because I like fully I like no life that, and I barely graduated high school because I just like wouldn't go and I would play Halo 2, and then I played all the MMOs, like everything. I if it like when it comes out, I'll try it out. But since
War you played World of Warcraft, yes?
oh yeah, yeah, I played
What
WoW and
what
everything.
server did you play on?
I well, because I move, it always changes. So I
Hmm.
played on like a Tichondrius. I played
Okay.
because I played like Asia servers, US servers,
Okay.
and it really depends on where I live because I spent 5 years in Japan and I gamed a lot there. So I would game with like Australians and I would join like Australian guilds because it's like a closer time zone. And then I'm in the US and then I would join I forget what the US based one, but there's like one that's mainly Horde and one mainly Alliance, and I joined I think the Horde one and Alliance, and I still have accounts on all these. I don't really play it anymore, but I'm not paying like $300
Hmm.
to move all my stuff every time.
To move it all
So
around.
yeah, yeah, just because I move every few years, 2 to 3 years I move. So but now as I got older, I I just don't have time. And then because I really loved Overwatch 2 and
Mhm.
Overwatch, mainly Overwatch, not Overwatch 2, but I loved that game. It was like it was fresh as new. And the problem with games now, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is they're the same iteration of the same thing that I've been playing for like 30 years. And it's like it's all the same stuff. And that maybe Battle Royale was something different when it came out. And now it's like super
Every
overplayed.
game.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about Overwatch was it was like this super unique, like every character feels different. It's like and it's PvP shooter based, and I really love that. But it's just such a toxic community. It was so toxic, and
Did
I
you
became
play did you play League
yeah.
of Legends at all?
I played a little. Like
Because
I wouldn't even say I played it. Like I downloaded it,
okay,
tried it, and I was like, the learning curve on this is insane, and I wasn't willing to put in the time because and that's the big thing. I just don't have the time,
the
just like
time.
you. Yeah. So I noticed like, why am I going to go play these games just to get dumpstered by some 12-year-old who can know life it, with their like
Yeah.
super high pitched voice, like oh, this just isn't what I want to do. So
That's
I
go ahead.
so
Finish
yeah,
up.
so
Finish up, please.
so I ended up buying a Steam Deck. Are you familiar with the
Okay.
Steam Deck? So
I yeah.
yeah, so I bought a Steam Deck and then I just like I can sit on my couch next to my wife and as we watch stuff, I can just like play casual games like Vampire Survivors or I got the Harry Potter one and it plays these AAA new games, mostly single player, and I can like handheld it and it's a great device. I would recommend it to anyone who, not sponsored, not
Not
sponsored.
at all. Neither of us is sponsored.
Yeah, yeah. But I really
Sponsored
love
by
this.
Allagash. Please send me a
Yeah,
six pack.
yeah. But I really love the Steam Deck and just the like I can take it with me. Just being in the military, sometimes I get sent places and I can play these AAA games on handheld next to my wife, so I can still talk to her or whatever, and casually play through, like Harry Potter
Whatever.
or whatever I'm playing. So that's most I do still a little, like very little, not as much lately, but if I'm playing something, it's on Steam Deck. Like it plays KOTOR and all these other
Yeah.
things.
I would say that if you took away Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, 90% of my gaming is playing like Settlers of Catan on Steam with friends. Like we'll go on Discord chat because we're all in our 30s, we're all busy, we all have things to do. Nobody wants to drive places. We
Yeah.
all want to have like a beer or two. So 90% of the time it'll just be like, hey, do you guys want to play some Settlers of Catan? And we'll sit there on Discord and on Steam playing. Like you said, when I buy a game, I go, I've played this game before. And it might
Yeah,
have been a totally different IP, but I'm like, I played this. I played this 10 years ago. It's not interesting to me anymore. I don't have time for the shit. I don't want to watch a 30-minute movie when I only have an hour to play my game. So it's a very specific niche of like you, I used to look for like MMOs and like guilds and interacting and being on Ventrilo with 40 other people. And now I'm like, I want a single
yeah.
player game that I can pop on and play for 30 minutes and still feel like I've accomplished something.
Yeah, the time commitment is just insane. Because if you, because I'm the type of guy who just like, I'm. It's really difficult for me to play something casually unless it's a single player game. Like if I'm playing against like other people or MMOs, like I feel like I should like invest in it, and
Hmm.
and I don't have the time to do that. And if I do, it's sacrificing other things because I try to have like balance in my life. And it's
Yeah.
going to take from like the time for my family or work or working out or whatever I'm trying to do. And I just don't have the time. There's no way. Like at my like current place in life, there's no way I can play an MMO.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I used to love them. I would play constantly like you. Like in college, I would play 5, 6 hour nights and we'd raid like Molten Core or Blackwing Lair. And you'd be like, this is so great. And now I'm like, if I could get into like the Old Republic or something and know that
Uh-huh.
I could play 45 minutes a night, I'd do it. But I know
Yeah,
I can't. I know I'll min max it and I'll be like, oh, I gotta like check on this
yeah.
and check on that. Like, look at me. Like I started this game casually. I had no intention
Mhm.
of talking to people. I didn't have Discord. I didn't have Reddit. And now I'm here talking to you on a YouTube stream because both of us are way too hardcore into the game, right? To like just
Yeah,
play and like relax.
yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. Totally understand that.
So I want to ask you one more question because
Mhm.
I don't want to take up too much of your time and my wife ordered pizza too and I don't want to completely
Yeah, no,
destroy her night either.
yeah, I totally get
Um
it.
so we know obviously I'm very pro Jar Jar. Like
Yep.
that's my character and the petition, by the way, for anyone watching, just hit 2,500 names today and there's still people signing it, which blows my mind. I'm like, why? It was a month ago.
Yeah.
Um who is the character that you want to see join the game the most right now? Like everything aside.
To be complete, like I signed your petition, right?
Well,
For Jar Jar,
thank you for your
yeah.
service.
Yeah, so I signed the Jar Jar one. But I to be honest, I don't really look at like, oh, I think this game needs this or that. What I do like doing is when I watch new shows and or like new things that are Star Wars related, I'm just like, I can totally imagine that in
You
Star
could
Wars
see
Galaxy of
that.
Heroes. Yeah, I could see that. Like whenever that salad face dude in the Mandalorian with his fleet of pirates, I don't know his name, but salad face, you know who I'm talking about.
I do. I'm the
Yeah,
same as you. I don't know anybody's name.
yeah, I'm horrible with names, but so I was like, I could totally see that being, in the game for, pirates or whatever, capital ships. And
Yeah.
I could totally see Salad Face being on this game. So I enjoy that aspect and of watching, Star Wars and just like connecting with this game because I didn't know anything about Night Sisters until I played this game and then I was like,
Hmm.
what's that? And then I found out the Clone Wars has it, and then I started watching the Clone Wars because of Night Sisters. So just things like that. But I don't like specifically feel like because my favorite Star Wars character is General Kenobi and during the Clone
Okay.
Wars,
So
and
you
I
got
have
him.
that. Yeah, I
You're
have
already
that.
there.
Yeah,
You have like four
yeah.
iterations of him.
Yeah, so I have JMK, I have General Kenobi, so I'm fully satisfied. Don't care too much for old Ben, but I felt like
Okay.
he was a
Yeah.
he's a quitter. Like when the times got tough, he just quit it. So
He's like, I'm good, man. Like,
yeah,
strike me
yeah,
down. Okay, so then what I'm saying or what I'm hearing is, you know what, I have all this energy to push into Jar Jar. That's all I need
yeah.
to know.
Yeah,
That's
Jar.
fine.
I would love Jar Jar. I do want Naboo. I want the Gungans. I do think that's some content that should be expanded on. So that's why I signed your petition. Not just
It,
because of you, but I do think Jar Jar should be in the game.
It's 2024. I'm telling you right now, it's still January. It's happening this year. We're getting Jar Jar. I don't know why. I feel it. It's the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. It's gonna happen. The road ahead is coming up. I don't think it's gonna be in the road ahead. I do feel like my conspiracy is that he's the next Conquest character, but I know by the
You
end
think
of the
so?
year, that's just in my head. I have it set that he's the next Conquest character, but at least, at the very least, by the end of the year, we are getting Jar Jar Binks. We are getting the shitty Jar Jar Binks who's all over the place, and I'm gonna be all about it, and I'm gonna wail on him. I've been saving a horde for it, and I'm ready, like
I'll tell you,
more than ready.
I don't want, I'll tell you this, and maybe controversial, but I don't want Jar Jar Binks. That's not what I want. I want Bomb Bad General Jar Jar Binks. That's what I want.
This
I want the Bomb Bad General Jar Jar Binks. That's what I want. That's the one I want in my life. Not just like, normal Jar Jar. I want Bomb Bad General Jar Jar Binks.
So the way that I see it is Jar Jar Binks is Naboo. Jar Jar Binks
Yeah.
is Galactic Republic. Bombad
Uh-huh.
General is Gungan, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we get the first one,
Uh-huh.
we're only getting him. If we
Yeah.
get the second one, we're getting a whole Gungan faction.
Well, I would,
I'm more about the first one, but I'll be
yeah.
happy either way.
Yeah, I would love if he was just like the marquee character, Jar Jar Binks, and then the legendary was Bombad General
I'm fine with it.
Binks.
If we get
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
double my money, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna leave us with that so that
Uh-huh.
we can get out on a normal time. I appreciate your time. I will tell people this. I honestly, I have been popping into your streams. If anyone's looking for like a smaller content creator, Captain Amazing, we kind of, again, we do similar things. I do things just a little bit differently. I'm more TV focused, ROI focused, but I do have people that come to me and they say, "Hey, oh, like I wish that you could do a review for me, but you're not into GAC, and so I'm not gonna bother." So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you're like more into the GAC features and the PvP features, it's weird to say,
Yeah.
you're the person to go to. Support your smaller content creators because we're looking to have fun, and we're looking, I don't want to say to make a name for ourselves because that's not why we're doing it, but we're looking to have fun and connect with people, maybe in a different way. And it's a cool experience. So again, I appreciate your time. I'm going to give you the last word, the last thought.
So something when I watch your streams, and I think because you started doing live, I think if you could do TB like when you auto it and then just talk to people, I think people would really love that. Like it just gives you got to do it anyways. So if and I know you probably do it here or there whenever you can, but I think if you could do live with your TB and just like chat and do live shows with that, I would tune in for that. I would watch that. So I think that'd be great for you personally.
So I said I was going to give you the last word, but I'm going to at least
Mhm.
respond to that. Then I'm going to end
Yeah.
this. But
Okay.
the reason I haven't yet, and you're gonna have to hit
Yep.
me up on Discord and explain all this, is because again,
The
not much older
technology
than you.
side.
We're the exactly. I'm like,
Hmm.
I have to get it on my computer and I have to figure this out and I have to figure
Yeah.
that out because I have thought of doing that.
Yeah.
And I did think it would be fun to just chat with people.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's
So
the best part. The best part.
you're gonna have to
I can
send
help
that to
you. I
me
can
and
help you. Yeah.
figure that out for me and help me out with that, and I'll give you all the credit. But once again, thank you for your time. I appreciate your time, and hopefully, we both grow and figure out what we need and expand and learn. So again, thank you.